In the annals of royal history, few deaths are as revolting and symbolic as that of King Henry VIII of England. A man once revered for his striking appearance and political might, ended his days in a state so wretched that even those sworn to serve him recoiled in disgust. This is the harrowing and haunting story of how power, pride and decay converged in the final chapter of one of England's most infamous monarchs. Henry Tudor came into the world on June 28, 1491, a prince destined for greatness. When he took the English throne at the age of 17, the young king was a paragon of Renaissance masculinity, tall, with a commanding frame, golden red hair, and a charisma that lit up courts across Europe. Diplomats, poets, and foreign dignitaries marveled at him. A Venetian ambassador once described him as more beautiful than any Christian prince alive, a man whose presence stirred awe. But greatness, as history often reminds us, is rarely permanent. The moment that would alter the trajectory of Henry's life, and ultimately his legacy, occurred in January 1536. During a jousting match at Greenwich Palace, the 44-year-old king, still clinging to vestiges of his youthful virility, suffered a catastrophic fall. His heavily armored horse toppled over, crushing him beneath its weight. For 2 long hours, Henry lay unconscious. He would awaken, but never truly recover. What had begun as a sporting injury evolved into a chronic nightmare. A wound on his right leg festered and refused to heal. Over time it turned into an oozing ulcer that never closed, leaking pus and exhaling an odor so revolting it emptied entire rooms. Attendants often smelled their king before they saw him. Yet despite the nausea, they dared not show repulsion to offend the king's dignity. Even with a gag or grimace was to court death. This physical decline marked the beginning of a psychological transformation as well. That same year, Henry ordered the execution of his second wife, Anne Boleyn, under spurious charges of adultery and treason. Some historians now speculate that the blow to his head may have caused lasting brain damage, fueling his paranoia, rage and unpredictability in the years that followed. As mobility slipped further from his grasp, the once active king succumbed to gluttony. The trim waist of his youth, once a mere 89 centimeters, ballooned to well over 130. His body, now weighing in excess of 180 kilograms, required specially designed contraptions to move him from chamber to chamber. Palaces were retrofitted to accommodate his girth. The Grand Monarch had become a prisoner in a fortress of flesh. His royal diet, too, became a slow poison. Records from the kitchens reveal a daily intake of around 5,000 calories, dominated by red meats, greasy pies, and vast oceans of ale and wine. Vegetables were a rarity. Combined with his near-total inactivity, this indulgence accelerated his descent into a grotesque caricature of the king he once was. The wound on his leg worsened over the years, with physicians of the time employing brutal and misguided treatments, cauterization with burning irons, applications of mercury and arsenic, and excessive bloodletting. Rather than relieve his suffering, these methods only hastened his decay. The ulcer deepened so badly that observers claimed to see bone through the rotting tissue. The stench was unbearable, spreading several rooms away. Yet, amid the ruin of his body, Henry still sought companionship. At 49, he married Catherine Howard, a girl of only 19. Their marriage, meant to rekindle his youth, instead underscored his decline. Unable to stomach the sight, smell, or touch of her decaying husband, Catherine found solace with a young courtier. When their affair was discovered, Henry had them both executed. His fifth wife died screaming, her lover torn apart. The spectacle stunned even those hardened by palace politics. His final marriage, to Catherine Parr in 1543, was more of a caretaking arrangement than a romantic union. Catherine played the role of nursemaid more than queen, tending to his sores, tolerating his outbursts, and enduring the daily agony of watching the once great king waste away. To her credit, she did so with remarkable grace, perhaps because she had seen what happened to those who failed to play their roles. By the early 1540s, Henry's health was in steep decline. Modern diagnoses suggest he likely suffered from a cocktail of ailments: type 2 diabetes, advanced gout, chronic hypertension, congestive heart failure, and perhaps even a series of mini-strokes. Some have speculated syphilis, though contemporary historians dispute this. What is clear, however, is that the king spent his last years in relentless agony. Witnesses spoke of his uncontrollable fits of pain. He would scream for hours, lashing out at those nearby, blaming them for imagined slights or conspiracies. When not bellowing in rage, he sat motionless, shrouded in depression, brooding in the shadows of his once mighty throne. Paranoia devoured him from within. The man who once governed with clarity and ambition now feared plots in every whisper and shadow. Trusted advisers and noble allies fell victim to his suspicions. In the weeks before his death, he ordered the execution of Henry Howard, the Earl of Surrey, his own cousin, under flimsy accusations. No one was safe. Servants tiptoed around him, terrified that a wrong glance or a poorly chosen word might be construed as treason. His obsession with assassination became all-consuming. Every plate of food had to be sampled by a taster. Utensils were inspected. Nothing could reach his lips without scrutiny. The court had become a theatre of dread, its cast of courtiers masked with artificial smiles and perfume-drenched handkerchiefs to ward off the reeking air that hung around the king. As 1546 gave way to 1547, death loomed unmistakably. Gangrene consumed his legs, the infection brought fevers, and the ulcers bred blood poisoning. His skin changed hue, his breath came in ragged gasps. His mind drifted between lucidity and hallucination. He would mutter names: Jane Seymour, his third wife, who died in childbirth; Anne Boleyn, the queen he executed. Some claimed he wept, others said he raved. Despite the horror of his condition, no one dared declare him dying. Under English law, predicting the king's death was itself treason. So the pretense of recovery continued, even as the stench of rot filled the palace halls. At last, on January 27th, 1547, Henry summoned Thomas Cranmer, the Archbishop of Canterbury. Speechless and near death, he responded to Cranmer's question about faith by squeezing the bishop's hand. It was his final conscious act. Hours later, in the pre-dawn darkness of January 28, Henry VIII died at the age of 55. But even death offered no dignity. Due to his immense size, his coffin had to be custom-built. Embalmers faced a gruesome task. In Tudor times, embalming meant removing internal organs and packing the body with herbs. With Henry's bulk and the extent of his decay, the process failed to contain the decomposition. As the body lay in state at Sion Abbey, something horrifying happened. The coffin began to leak. Liquids and gases built up, pushing through the seams. That night, a foul fluid seeped onto the stone floor, forming a pool. Stray dogs found the puddle and began lapping it up. Chroniclers recorded the event with revulsion. A king, once the embodiment of divine monarchy, reduced to carrion for beasts. His state funeral was held weeks later, on February 16th, amid pomp and protocol. The coffin, still emitting a vile odour, was interred in St. George's Chapel, Windsor, beside Jane Seymour, the only wife to give him a male heir. That son, Edward VI, would reign for just 6 years before dying at 15. Ironically, the legacy Henry sought through a male succession would instead be carried on by his daughters. Mary I, daughter of Catherine of Aragon, attempted to reverse his Protestant reforms. Elizabeth I, daughter of Anne Boleyn, ushered in a golden era and became one of England's greatest monarchs. Henry VIII's end offers a profound lesson in human frailty. A man who once defied the Pope, tore apart his kingdom for love and power, and ruled as if divine, died disfigured, unloved and pitied. He began life as the model prince of the Renaissance, but ended as a grotesque shadow of his former self. Historian Alison Weir once noted that the transformation of Henry VIII from a vigorous prince into a paranoid, ailing tyrant stands as one of history's starkest warnings about the corrupting power of unchecked authority, pain and ego. Henry's enduring legacy, chiefly the break with Rome and the founding of the Church of England, continues to shape global history. Yet his personal fall from grace is a vivid reminder that no crown, no matter how gilded, can protect against the decay of the body and the judgment of time. In death, the illusion of divine monarchy crumbled. Beneath the silks and scepters lay a mortal man, whose body betrayed him, whose mind collapsed under the weight of pain and power, and whose final breath was not a royal decree, but a ragged gasp of flesh failing at last.